Welcome to the newly minted, the maiden voyage of the F-Stop podcast, a podcast for people who live behind a camera, by people who live behind a camera. What's going on, everybody?
Hello.
Hello.
Heyo.
Sponsored by Kroger Seltzer Water. Not the water you want, but the water you got.
Spicy water. Why is it so spicy?
So basically, I think the best way to kind of like start this off was to talk about what it's like to be a young aspiring man trying to get into the industry. What it's like to get in.
We can't use man. We have to use person. We gotta be
Person.
inclusive.
Sorry, gendered language. I apologize. But yeah, just to be trying to get into the industry, like there's so many roads. I feel like me and Riley are probably like the closest as far as like our journey to get there. But like you and Jacob are like so different.
Yeah.
So I mean, I can kind of start
You're different.
since this.
Imagine being different.
Okay.
I can. This is raw and uncut. You will be seeing all of this. And I'm not
So
cutting it.
hands.
Please take. Did you take the melatonin that you were supposed to take?
No.
The prescribed milk.
So
Someone
basically,
you didn't put it in my cup, did you?
how I started, probably like 5 or 6 years ago, a mutual acquaintance of everybody here. I met Daniel Lopez. It's Daniel Lopez Creative Co. on Instagram. Check him out. But he kind of picked up a camera around that same time, and I was hanging around him a lot. Thought it was super cool. I think I bought my first camera like the same year. And I shot for like 4 years just like on my own. Like actually never were planning to do anything with it. Just like hanging around, shooting everything I could like think to. And then I think probably like two or 3 years ago, I was like, I didn't go to college. Okay. So I was working like an office job. And I was trying to figure out where my life was kind of headed. And I decided corporate was not it. Turns out I hate insurance and working in a cubicle. So I was like, what can I do? And I kind of thought about my camera, and I saw actually what Daniel and a couple other people, Ryan Fisk, who also works with all of us, were doing. I'm like, man, like maybe I could do that. And so that's when I was like, I'm going to find a way to make this my career. And through just really working on shooting, working on developing like my own style of things, and kind of trying to really make it a push, to find a way to make it happen. Here I am. I mean, I think I'm actually the least experienced out of everybody here. I mean, as far as like time and like being like,
If you're
full-time.
counting seconds, yes.
Oh, okay. I guess I have to count seconds.
Yeah.
I mean, I would make an argument. This is like a whole other like podcast. Is time doesn't always necessarily mean.
No, that's true.
Yeah, there's some people
that's
just
what I meant. Yeah.
really latch on.
I mean, technically, like you look at like Marcus and like Hunter, like over like Brother Dale's and that kind of thing. Like technically, I have actually been shooting, like as far as I'm aware, like as seeing their stuff, like pretty much about the same amount of time they have.
Yeah.
But obviously, they are like
Yeah.
way
just-
more talented than
Just
me.
did it every day.
Yeah, I was about to say like that,
Yeah.
that, and they just like really leverage their business contacts. So professionally doing it is like a different mindset. But like, yeah, that's easily another video or another podcast.
Right, but I mean, like when it comes down to it, I mean, that's kind of how I got in. Right, is I think that's like a super big thing for like
By watching others and
watching others and network, like having people like in your life that can get you in. Right, like without Rob, I wouldn't have been able to make it full time.
Oh,
like,
absolutely.
He definitely like he was a mentor to me. Like he guided me like in how like the steps to take, and like
out
he
to
encouraged
Rob.
me to like make the leap. You know, to like actually like do it full time, and like actually think that it was a possibility, because I don't know anyone else besides like him and Daniel, that do something creative full time. Like that's their job.
Yeah.
There's no one else in my life besides them, and so like just like having them as like in a person in my life to look to and be like, wow, like someone could do this.
Yeah.
Like this is something. This is an option that I can do this.
Yeah.
That was huge.
Who is next? Or who?
Oh, actually, let's like introduce ourselves maybe a little bit.
yeah.
I'm Shane. I think I already said that. Go ahead and introduce yourselves, guys.
I am Riley.
And I'm Prescott.
And I'm Jacob.
Okay. So yeah, now that we got that done with,
Yeah, we can go back in
Right off
depth.
the
Like, what would
bat.
you, before we move on to someone else, what would you like call yourself? Like, what kind of photography or videography do you
I
specialize
mean,
in?
I do a lot of like outdoor content, that kind of thing. I don't know if I'm kind of weird in that I feel like I never niche down. Like some people are like they do one thing really well. Like I mean, like I feel like everyone's pretty multifaceted just because of the kind of job we're in.
Yeah.
But like Prescott does product like super well. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I haven't really found like my like thing yet. I feel like I do a lot of things well. There's nothing like specifically that's like my thing.
And also, that's probably a really good like starting point is to not try and find your niche right away. Just experiment with everything because you have a wedding lined up coming up. You love doing outdoor video and photo work. You like doing kind of like interview-esque kind of things as well. So like just
Yeah,
kind
I mean,
of find your
I feel like anytime you're gonna do anything full time like this kind of like field, like people have specialties and things they want to do, but it's important to be like multifaceted
yeah.
because just so you can make money.
That's true.
I think you're always going to find yourself in some kind of commercial space doing something, whether that's what I'm doing more right now, which business kind of work. But even we were talking about it the other day, like I know tons of people who do not want to do, like they would not do weddings if they had a choice.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But they're going to do it for the money, you know, so that they can live, you know, you can pay your bills.
Yeah.
And you can do whatever kind of projects later with that solid income.
Yeah, and plus a wedding is a really good place to actually just pick up more clients because you have no idea what kind of people, and not even just for weddings, but just like you don't know what like the family members do or something like that. That maybe like, oh hey, you know how to run a camera. They don't like always significantly have to be like, oh yeah, but I'm only product. I'm just doing this. You never say that. So like,
Right.
hey, you know how to run a camera? I
Yeah.
have a need for that. So you can actually pick up other viable leads and networks.
By not limiting yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was speaking of that. I was at a wedding one time. Speaking of weddings, and I was talking to like the groomsmen, and one of the groomsmen's friends actually shoots for the Chicago Bears.
Nice.
Yeah, it was really random.
And that right there, I
Like,
mean, yeah, that could
There's
be
connections all over the place.
Yeah.
yeah.
You got to look for those kind of opportunities, especially in a business like this. Like it's all like there's so much of it is just knowing people
Yeah.
and just trying to find those connections. Actually, I'd like to pivot over to you because I don't know you as well. I feel like,
old Jaco.
and you were talking in another podcast that we were both on, Marketabilities.
Check it out.
Brewing Media.
MGM.
Shout out. But it was super interesting. You were talking about like the album art that you were trying to do for a long time and like just reaching out to people and the fact that you actually like you went to school for film. I feel like that's
Yeah.
super interesting.
Yeah, you kind of went from an insurance. I came from a little bit differently. This is like all I've ever known how to do, and this has been the only option. There's never been like a plan B. And so even like growing up, I had like the first like iPod Nano with like the camera. And I was like, yeah, back then it was like movies just like appeared. It
Yeah.
wasn't like a job. It was just like, oh, there's a movie, and so I would see them. But I was slowly kind of developing that, and I was already kind of drawn to it, just making these stupid skits that eventually turned into like a cringy like YouTube channel, and then which eventually turned into cameras, and then I talked about on the other podcast I did a 365 project because I knew that I loved VFX and I knew that I loved editing. But when you're like a 8th grade freshman in high school, it's hard to kind of do that. And so I realized that if I wanted to get better at that, I needed to do it. But it's harder to do that with videos, but it's easier to do that with photos.
Oh, for sure.
And so that's where the photography kind of came around. It came from like a love of editing and the fact that I hated editing other people's photos, so I needed to learn how to take photos. And so it kind of it kind of all led to another thing, which led to another thing, and then the album artwork stuff. That was also because originally I was thinking like, oh, what would I love to make? And I was like, oh, book covers would be fun. But then I kind of realized that the work that I was making was like very surreal, and it was very like art.
Oh, it's super
artistic.
creative. It's
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
I've
really
seen
cool.
a few of them.
And so I it was never like about like content. I feel like with content you're trying to appeal to like a lot of people, and
Right.
with that I had no intention of appealing to a lot of people. It was just kind of this was my work and take it as it is. And so I was doing that, and as I was looking at it, I was like, these could be pretty cool album covers. And so I kind of wanted to push that. And so 100 DMs a day for weeks and months. And so it's just, you get 2 people to say yes, you get 2 jobs. That's all you need. And so, like, I was working for nothing. Like, I was doing like album covers for free. I was in high school and like early college. And so I was just, anybody that was willing to like have me work on something that they worked on, I thought was the biggest honor. Like taking like a song that these people like spent so much time on and like trying to like interpret it in my own way. I thought that was so exciting. And then that led to like concert photography, because these musicians perform live and they need stuff for that. And so it really is just like, and then it
Just snowballed in a sense.
Yeah. And then like, so like someone that I did like a free album cover for like in 2017, 2018, like he just flew me out to LA. So it's kind of like those things where like they snowball.
You flew out to LA?
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah, like this guy, like, and I like, these are bands, like, I listen to a lot of indie rock music, and I find it, like, it's almost like a goal of mine to try and find indie music and try to find, like, this underground music, because I don't think for me, the stuff that I am drawn to isn't, like, on the Billboard charts.
Yeah, sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I just think there's so much underground stuff, and so I'm listening to all these artists that could probably use a graphic designer, and
Right?
probably use these things. But every once in a while, you'll DM somebody that has like a check mark and like a K next to their follower account, and you'll be like, "There's not a way in hell that this person will say yes to me." And then you'll be surprised because you only need like 2 out of 100. But like, with like Max, shot a concert for him, made content, made a flyer for him later. He just kept coming back to me with these little things, and then pretty soon it was like, "Hey, I have like this whole EP that I'm dropping, and I need to design like this whole thing. Do you want to come out to LA?" I was like, "Yeah." And so it really is like just who you know, how well you know them. And even like we're talking about it like in the advertising side, but if we go to like the industry side, we're talking like film, it's even more important. Like then I moved from like Instagram to like LinkedIn. So you have like all of these social media platforms that you can contact anybody on. And I was, and just like anything is possible. I was like in college, I was talking to people that worked on Dune and like Godzilla versus King Kong and like all of these movies that I was like
admire.
It's insane.
You're like, oh, Steph, I'm talking to someone who makes this now. This is really cool.
But it's fun because you're talking to these people in like a non like business way. Because I saw it as more of like, all right, down the line this could turn into something. Like, but for now it is just what it is, and I'm just trying to soak up as much information as I can. But now. He knows I exist. Now they know and now if they have something in the back of their head, I have somebody that can do that. And so it's just, again, like you can be the best person in the world at something, but you really just gotta like.
It's so cool. There's like a whole nother side to like this industry, right? Like it's like you have kind of what we're doing more of right now, and I think a lot of people will dip their toes into it eventually. Is like commercial work and working for businesses and. Making social posts for businesses.
It's like the advertising kind of versus like the narrative.
But the film stuff, it is so cool, and I feel like that's kind of why I asked you, honestly, is because like it's a whole nother side of things that's a whole nother side of people who if you want to get in, if that's what you want to do, like there's more options than just making commercial work.
Yeah, like the commercial work, I've always, like my minor was advertising, so I do like advertising, but the goal is definitely narrative, and the goal is definitely storytelling. And so the advertising stuff is just kind of...
which I think that bleeds over too, because I mean, like no matter what, you gotta tell a story.
Well, you have to tell a story,
Yeah.
but now you're telling a story in 15 seconds.
Oh yeah.
And so it's like, all right, how do you take these narrative skills, and then how do you condense them into like...
Do you think that like... doing that kind of work where you're trying to condense it but still tell something that's that makes sense and has like value, does that help you on the like narrative side, like you're saying, like trying to make stuff in its longer form?
Yeah, when you're working with stuff longer form, it's a lot more about like drawing lines and like like the connecting
the dots.
it all. Yeah, but with short form, it's really it has to be concise. And so you really have to start looking for like, all right, well, this shot says one thing, but then like how can I have it say like another thing? Like exactly, how can I have like a 2-for-1 in terms of like the intent?
I feel like it would help you like learn how to make a point quickly.
Yeah, you learn how to make a point that like there's like when I was doing like TikToks every day, it was really,
which that's another thing. You had several
thousand
followers on TikTok, right? You have
views.
A viral TikTok.
Yeah, that was COVID pandemic, and just like that was just nothing but time on my hands, and I need to be creating. Otherwise, like the 365 project, like that, like I was doing that, but with TikTok, And so it was all of a sudden, all right, now I'm taking and editing a photo every day. Now it's all right. Now I'm like making like a video every day, and it's hard because I even did I partnered with them, and I was a part of the TikTok EDU partnership thing, and so like I like literally signed a contract that I had to post 5 days a week.
I didn't know that. That's
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah, and so I was contractually obligated by TikTok to post 5 days a week some sort of educational content, and educational can mean here's how to do this, here's this thing that happened to me, something like that. You're passing on a message, and it's not just like a skit or something. And so it was really just all right. How can I take this piece of content and how can I turn it into this? Because that's all I've been doing. So like all the photos for my 365 project that I have BTS footage for that I shot in high school with no intention of using it ever again is all of a sudden every single photo is now a TikTok. And so it's like, all right, so you have the photo and now you have the behind the scenes. So then you can make a before and after, and then you can make
There's a
Like,
lot of
if you
things.
Keep
then
your stuff and use it.
and then you can make behind the
Yeah.
scenes of the editing, the behind the scenes from the on set, the before and after.
Yeah.
And then once you have a bunch of before and afters, you can take that into its own compilation. And so it's really just like finding ways to, it's different pieces of value that you can bring and like different ways to package it and like what
Diversify
angle.
it.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
so, and it's like you can post a video saying, yeah, I did this, or you can post a video and come at a different angle and be like, yeah, I discovered this, or here's how to do this. And
Yeah.
so and then you can change the whole kind
Which
of
that's
point
its
of it.
whole own thing, right? It's
Yeah.
like just getting the most out of what you're
Yeah, because
out of the work you're doing.
yeah, and just it's a line, and you have to, and you get better at it, and not all of them are great, but
Right.
you it's like especially like the 365 project, dude. I maybe like 10 of them like hold up, like in my opinion. So it's really just about like holding those skills. And you talked a little bit about like the university side. I think that's kind of interesting because
Yeah.
I took I think way more film classes than advertising classes, but I've
Yeah.
been working way more in advertising.
Well, I think
Now
a
you
lot of
are.
people like when I've listened to people, they do end up probably dabbling in commercial stuff, especially because I think it's also
it's
the
a
area
good-
we're in
It's
too.
a good skill, and it's less risky than
Yeah.
I think.
Oh,
that
for
is.
sure.
Because
Yeah.
you get more into the commercial side of it, like not commercial like making an ad, but like the commercial is in terms of like it's commercial industry, like
Right.
it's finance and stuff like that, so it's business, and so it's a little bit safer
Yeah, for
than,
sure.
than kind of like the artistic side.
But I mean, there's people who find their kind of niche there. I mean,
Yeah.
there's a lot of people who, again, I think it's also kind of the area we're in. There's not as much film stuff going on.
Yeah, no, you really
It's,
have to
like if you live
fight
like
for it.
out west, like or on the coast, like either one of the
LA,
coasts, anything like
Nashville.
that, LA.
Yeah,
But
Atlanta.
I mean, there's probably plenty of people who find their way like working as a grip. You kind of just
yeah, so
make your way
that's,
up.
That's
yeah.
the thing. You can do it, and you can go you can go the freelance route, and you can find your own clients, or you can go into the set route, and you start as a PA, like a little intern, and then you become a grip, and then a gaffer, and then a camera op, and then a DP, and then you work that ladder. And so there are like, it really just depends on what you want, and it really is like when I went to LA to talk with those guys, like they were all editors, and the
Yeah.
thing that I realized when I was talking to all of those brilliant editors was I do not want to edit. And so that's
Right,
okay.
which most
But-
people don't separate those two
yeah,
things.
and that
Yeah.
was the thing was that was just as valuable.
Oh, for sure.
Because imagine if I got into it and then I didn't want to do it anymore. But now I know that ahead of time, and and on top of that, I networked, and so it's like on top. So you're kind of doing two things at once.
Oh, fun fact, if you don't do this job for a living, I had a perception that I would be shooting equal to
No.
or maybe more than I'm editing.
Negative.
And that is not
Yeah.
the case.
No.
Yeah.
Like at all. I spend
Never
99.99% of my time editing and maybe 1% filming, which is probably to my detriment because I feel like my camera skills have not caught up to my editing skills because I just spend less time doing it. But
Yeah,
there's definitely a misconception. I think, and that's what I was saying is like, especially because I think film's a bigger industry, and not bigger, it's just different. Like you have
Yeah.
more defined roles
yes.
than commercial.
Yeah.
But there are people who will never pick up a camera again. Like that's all they do is just edit.
No, you
Editors,
could
yeah.
work in film,
Yeah. Or-
and you would never,
Or you could do kind of what you're
You
doing
might
right
never
now.
be
You're
around a
editing a
camera.
whole short film
Yeah.
right now where you shot it, directed it, wrote it, and are now editing it.
Yes.
And you could do all of it.
And I
So
think
it
Yes.
just depends.
I think it's
Yeah,
also oh, go ahead.
No, like you could, I don't know, you could be good at like wiring, and you could be working on a film set, and it's just it's
Which
like,
is crazy.
Like you could any skill, like if you build stuff, you build sets, like
Yeah.
do it. Like
And
so-
kind of what you said, this something you said yesterday really had a big impact on me. I remember I've been thinking about it a ton. As you said that, even like if you could shoot your shot 100 times, and if you get 2, it's still 2.
Yeah.
That's 2 more than you had. No matter what skill you have, if you want to get into, running a camera, if you want to get into editing, if you want to make this your job, just find what you're good at, and if you just will try
People
and keep on trying, you can
will
find a way.
recognize,
Yeah.
like, work ethic.
Oh, for sure.
And they'll notice. And so if you're putting the work in and you're not being pushy and you're doing it right, and then
Right.
and you're not like bugging anybody, and you're really you're messaging them with an intent to help them. You're
Right.
messaging them with an intent. Like every time I DM'd someone, it was a copy and paste that I would like, and I'd have things that, I would have things that I would change in and out. But the thing is that I wasn't like sending it to people that I'd never heard of. I was sending it to people that I liked, and so
Yeah.
I didn't really have to change anything. And so it was just like, here's some value that I can bring to you. If you have any projects down the line, like I'm a huge fan. Like the reason
Yeah, I feel like people get in their own head
Yeah.
about that a lot, and I do. I'm really bad
Oh, yeah.
about this. Even yesterday, I shot a thing for a coffee company, and I was like, man, I feel like nervous to even send this, which is stupid. I mean, I'm not hurting anybody by being like, hey, I shot your content because I'm not your content. I shot your product because I really like it.
Yeah.
Do you want to see it? Do you want to
Yeah.
use it?
And that-
And I actually just got a message back like today, and they were like, we love this. Or like, we
That's
do all our
awesome.
stuff in house.
Yeah.
So we don't necessarily need any work right now, but we'll consider you for any projects in the future if we need
Exactly.
them.
Yeah.
And then, like in a year and a half, that might.
It's not going to
Come
hurt
on,
anybody.
yeah.
Don't get
Like,
so
you
in
don't
your own
know.
head about it. Yeah.
And that's right there is like another good thing to think about is a lot of those companies right there do have somebody in house that makes bulk product.
Yeah.
But they may not have the accessory or the tools or the skill for the specific stuff that is kind of like I would call like icing or sprinkles
Yeah.
on top.
Yeah.
Or
Because
it's just more unique to you.
yeah, because that's like the one thing is when I was in college and everything, and we were talking about like labels and stuff. Like you have to keep an idea of like, all right, the label has to look a specific way. But then on top of that, when you're shooting it, you generally shoot it 8 different ways. You shoot like 2 of them is like wide, and then a lot of them are actually just like interacting. It's always like in a hand, like if it's a soap bottle or something like that, it has to be like ergonomically comfortable, but like also appealing when you're looking at it. And like, are the instructions easy to see? And there's so many different things. And when you look at it, it's actually not creative. Because if you compare a lot of the same stuff, like if you compare Bud Light to Coors Light to Heineken, chances are they have the same shots and they're probably all done inside. But then when you want to do like the stuff that I like to do, I love the product photography side of it. The creating something, creating the brand, and then like those in-house photos generally aren't always the same. The in-house photos are just like the stuff to use commercially all over the place. They're very high quality, but they're essentially all the same.
Yeah.
And
So,
so that-
actually, I think that's a good transition into Prescott. Talk about kind of like how you got into this, where you started from, because you did not start out trying to be a photographer.
So actually, I did tell a lot of people, I kind of have a similar start to Jacob. I loved shooting. I had friends that were playing house shows. And
Okay.
I loved shooting house shows. It was a very raw environment. I think I know where those photos are. I'll have to go find them. But anyway,
I didn't know you'd ever shot before this. I thought it was something you picked up whenever you came here.
yeah, no. So I have experience with that, and it was like a little like Canon Rebels. It was very, very
Same
beginning.
thing I had.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think it was just like a very early model compared to yours. I think I got like back in like 09 or something.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
But anyway, fast forward when I left college, I had a distinct interest in like packaging. I loved concepting, and actually when I got pushed into COVID, I picked up Blender, learned how to 3D model it because I couldn't find the mock-ups that I liked. And then after that, I shortly got a gig with Growing Media. They needed some logo design for a tobacco prevention program. And that was when Andrew's like, hey, we do a lot of photo and video work here. You're going to have to get a camera if you want more work down the line. So I did that. And then I just thought, I was like, what makes me more valuable in my interest? And that's why I like designing packaging. I should probably learn how to market and advertise it in those shots. And then like a year later, I have my own at-home studio. And my favorite part of it is anything that looks delicious or appealing or anything like that is the grossest thing in the world because it's actually all fake.
That's true.
That's like my
Like
favorite.
all those pizza commercials. It's not cheese,
Yeah,
everybody.
that
It's,
is-
it's glue.
Yeah, that's glue.
It is glue.
They mix it in there and then they put it on there. And then they let the heat of it like just create that elastic slimy look, and you pick it up and yeah,
That's disgusting.
It
yeah,
is
it's gross beyond belief. But all that fun stuff, it's kind of like goes back to cinematic. A lot of stuff like on set and everything is actually tricks, or there's just like something in there that it's like cereal, for example, is actually another little device below it to like create something for the cereal to rest on, and then it's actually glue. The most of it is like Elmer's glue, like mixed with like maybe something to create a little bit more viscosity in it, and then the cereal just rests on top in this very dense liquid where there's like another little like upside down container for it to rest on. It's gross.
It's gross.
But yeah, you and I have actually created some outdoor content. That's another very fun thing. That's something that I stumbled upon by the geography here.
Yeah.
If I was in another location, like a more a more urban location, I probably would be a lot more product centric.
Yeah.
But this right here, like learning how to fly a drone, learning how to tell a story and shoot like outdoors content is something that was kind of a passion project on the side, because it was something that got me outside. But then also at the same time, like I was like, I actually enjoy this more than just a passion project. I wouldn't mind being hired to go to specific places and do like quarterly content.
Right.
And just something for them
Which
to
we've
have.
talked about, and I feel like, if anything, you're really good at pivoting. Like you were saying, like you came here for graphic design, and you're like, okay, well, I can move over to doing photo and video because that's what's going to work. And then finding what you like in that little thing, which is product. You like packaging, you like doing that stuff. Okay, well, I can move that over to shooting it, or even like you were saying with the outdoor content. It's like there's a hole here that needs filled.
Yeah.
That's not necessarily what I've been doing, but I'm going to move over and I can make this my own thing.
It's a very much a side effect of so the very beginning class any designer takes at any college. It doesn't matter if it's university, if it's some little like course you're paying for online, or you're just like reading a book about it. There are rules to design. And that right there. So like, even though I've technically started over and learning something like it from going from graphic artist to photographer to videographer, there's still all those rules where I understand them and I'm practicing them just in different environments. So that right there has helped me kind of move a bit faster.
Like understanding why it looks good.
Yeah.
And that kind of thing.
So yeah, that right there. I don't really like when I was moving into photo. Like I just had to really focus on light and learn how to use and focus the to use it correctly to make it look good, instead of like, all right, I need to get my f-stop under control. I need to get the composition. I need to learn composition. I need to do all these other things. Really, it was a very small list, and obviously learning how to use my tools.
Which, I mean, I think that goes for everybody, is that there is probably something in your experience that you have that can make your own style.
Yeah.
That you can make your own. I mean, with you, like you said, you do really, really good with knowing what looks good, how to set things up. Like, I love your product stuff. It always pops. It always catches my eye, like, really, really well. And that comes from some of those, from, like, that graphic design background. Like, even...
Yeah.
I feel like I'm pretty good with understanding, like, some corporate stuff, just because of I worked in an office for 5 years. I looked at their content. I know what they want.
Yeah.
I understand the atmosphere. So no matter what you're doing now, you can always bring some of your past experience into what you want to do, which in this case we're talking about, working behind a camera, whether that's photography or videography or I guess it'd be some people. I recently found out that some people do not like videography as a term. They like cinematography, and they will get like upset about it.
I feel like cinematographer and a videographer is a little bit different.
Yeah, that's what I've always.
I saw someone go on a whole rant about it.
I think
Because
they're-
cinema, when you think of cinema, you think of movies.
I don't think they're apples to apples, but
Yeah,
I
they're
do
not.
think they're apples to oranges, and where they're both
Yes.
fruit.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
Like I always viewed videography as something closer to like casually just documenting.
Yeah.
Whereas cinematography is you're
Oh yeah,
creating.
videography.
If there's a
definitely more of
slider
documentary.
involved,
yeah.
then it's cinematography.
Cinematography is where it gets into more, like the images,
Storytelling and-
the image is way more preconceived.
Yeah.
You have a different look for
Which,
it.
I mean,
it has
I
a,
think
it has
that
a
can
different
also-
look for it too. Like I said, it has more of a movie feel,
Yeah.
HBO movie feel or whatever.
But I also feel like there's a lot of stuff like right now that's pivoting towards more of that. Like you see, I think I've seen a lot more. Like we're talking about the commercial side of things, kind of people have been implementing a more cinematic look to things instead of it looking more cheesy. Like bigger companies, like I think a really good example is like Yeti. Like I love they have a lot of long form content. I mean, I know they're a cooler company, but like long form about like they obviously focus a lot on outdoors because it's going to use a cooler.
Yeah.
They have like whole films that are fantastic, and I see a lot of companies kind of like moving towards that and like utilizing that instead of it all being just like kind of like you said, like I don't want to call it cheesy, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It's
I think especially with like it's television,
For sure.
everything's like no one wants it cheesy anymore. Like it used
No.
to, it used
Yeah.
to be okay for TV shows to kind of be cheaper, and
Speaking
it
of-
still is. But like now, when you have
Well, and people are getting away from TV too.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well,
Yeah. I saw I hate to
Traditional
say this,
TV.
I saw an ad yesterday. One of the world's cheesiest ads. It's a big company. I'm not gonna say it. It's a big company.
was it Kraft?
No, I'm not gonna say the company name.
I went so far over your head.
No. I watched it. I was like, this is the world's cheesiest commercial I've ever seen. That bad.
yeah,
But it works. I
Works
don't
in
know
some-
why.
in some spaces, it
but
does.
it's working.
I think there's always it could be like a trend. Like I mean, right now, TikTok is driving forward the way ads are done. Like I've seen just
for
in
sure.
swiping through way more sponsored ads for stuff that's not even like like some people like what's that soap company?
Squatch?
Yeah, Dr. Squatch. Like I feel like they just dumped all their marketing into YouTube. And that's where it started, and now I'm
I
starting to
love
see
Dr.
it.
Squatch though.
They
do such
it's
a good
cheesy,
job.
but it's good.
Well,
It fits it.
well, if that's the brand, then
Yeah.
yes. If,
Yeah.
if that's the style you're going for, I think
But
I
this
think
company,
people. Well, I mean,
it's not the brand
I think
though.
people are
weird.
very, especially younger people that I think have been on the internet for their entire lives, are very savvy to like what is
for sure.
inauthentic.
Yeah.
And so if
100%.
it seems like it's kind of cringy, but without like the intention of it, because you can have something be cringy and it be hilarious. Or
Yeah.
have it be cringy and just like run with it and like have it do fine. But if you're not trying to be cringy, then or have
Yeah.
just like
So-
cheesy content.
Speaking of like videography and like videographers, like we're gonna move over to Riley
Dun, dun,
because Riley is really good. I feel like at producing. If you ever see something on social where you're like, this deserves to be on social, this is where it lives, and I love it, then that's the kind of stuff Riley produces. Like I
okay.
love.
It's not bad.
I love his stuff. I feel like he
It's not
kills
bad.
it.
I
like,
barely
in
post,
that
but it's not
avenue.
bad.
What he does post. Well, here's the problem is that you never post anything on your actual page, which everyone should do because that's like your brand. That's yourself. That's what you're
Yeah.
putting out there for people. I also am guilty of not doing that as much as I should. I
So
think everybody
hard.
thinks that though.
I think everybody gets so busy with their other clients.
But,
then
Riley,
they
why don't
forget
you,
the back burner?
Why don't you tell us about how you how'd you
How I
get
got
into doing this
started?
stuff?
Started when I was 14. The whole
Why did everybody else start way before I did?
hey, I want to be a YouTuber type of deal. That was me. I was that kid.
I was gonna say like plus like we have like a very different age range and everything.
That's
Like
true.
I'm like
Yeah.
32, and so like my YouTube being a YouTuber actually wasn't fully respected.
Oh,
until,
no.
like I
Recently,
was probably
Probably
like
just
really.
recently, yeah.
I would say yeah I was already well into my 20s. But anyway, yeah, continue.
Shoot, now let's turn
So
that. Oh
I
yeah.
would be a YouTuber.
Thank you. Yeah, I always forget the train of thought, but it's okay. But yeah, I always wanted to be a YouTuber. I always wanted to make movies and edit stuff like that. And Casey Neistat, Jessica Escalona, big influence in not filmmaking, but just making videos,
Yeah.
making them look cinematic. did that for all the way through college. Was never respected, but whatever. And now I'm here.
Literally,
Just poof.
he's
But in the
Physically,
sense of this, did the jobs 9 to 5 whatever jobs. Then I was hustling on the side. Was working for a company doing IT. Plus also streaming and stuff like that.
Yeah, I first kind of got more familiar with you doing stuff, like watching you stream.
No,
Like not watching your stream, but like I'd see you post things about it, and you had that. What was it? Rewind the replay.
Yeah,
Is that what it was?
yeah. It was my
I'd
brand.
see-
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd see like cuts from that all the time, and that's actually like probably when I first was like that's what I knew you from
Yeah.
was that.
Yeah, I was full time in that when COVID hit. So I was doing that on the side at night.
Mm-hmm.
But when COVID hit, it was like, okay, I don't have a job.
Yeah.
I really got to figure out what I need to do. And I was just like playing video games, making content. And
Which
people
I-
enjoyed it because I had a mentor tell me, he was like, I know it's your content when I hear it. I was like, is it a good thing or a bad thing?
No, you do a really good job.
Yeah.
Like whenever I see something you cut, I know you cut it.
Oh, cool.
Like you definitely have like a very distinct like. Kind of like you were saying before, like you were saying, like you really watched a lot like Casey Neistat and that kind of thing, like that kind of like early YouTube vlog style. That kind
It was
of thing.
before like the whole let me make videos was cool.
Yeah, I see a lot of that in your work. Like I could definitely see the influence.
Oh, thank you, man.
Mm-hmm.
Appreciate it.
But go ahead.
I was going to say, one thing that'd be really interesting. So we have a perfect 50-50 split of college educated and self-taught.
Dumb and smart.
So no, actually, I would argue if I would probably not ever suggest anybody to go to college for this right now, unless you had a very specific.
I think Jacob has a different turn on that.
Yeah, I think Jacob has.
Jacob has a very
I
different turn on that.
think I do recommend it.
So like here's
I don't think you need it, and I think you'll know if you want it or not. But
that's actually a better. I would suggest if
That's a really good way to put it.
But I think there's routes that you can take where you can go without it. But for me, the benefits were
there.
a lot. Yeah, like I had 4 years where anything I did outside of school was just a cherry on top. TikTok, everything like that. All like this, even like everything. I was with your only job being there to get a degree. Anything you do outside of that's great. And then like the classes, you have people that are forced to work with your set. You have equipment that you don't have to pay
true.
for.
Yeah.
You have and you can go in and you can treat those class projects like class projects, or you can go in and you can say, I'm making a movie, this is a class project,
Yeah.
but I know I want to submit it into festivals.
So
And
about
you-
your mindset.
yeah, and so if you
Yeah.
treat it like that, and if you do the extracurriculars, you join the RSOs, you work and you treat it, because it can feel like a summer camp really easily, but if you actually take it seriously and you work your ass off, you can probably get somewhere. I really think the only difference between probably like the film education and the self-taught education, I think, is just I think the end results are pretty similar. I think the film, in the way that I think I got the most value out of film school, is I think I know the theory a lot
Yeah.
more.
Yeah.
And that's something that I really did not care about, and something that I really did not take seriously. But now that I know it, and now that that's something, and now it's
Coming
when
out
it comes
slowly.
to so when it comes to like cinema now, it's always like intention and like, all right, what am I trying to what is this
How
shot?
to shoot things,
Yeah,
how to
like
portray
what
things in your
yeah,
shot, yeah.
it's just like, what did this shot mean, and what do I want it to say, and like how can I put that thought into it? And so I think that's kind of the value that I got out of it, that I don't think I would have entirely gotten if I was just strictly sticking to like online like self-teaching methods. But I think if you're just trying to like figure out like, all right, I know I want to do this, I know I want to get into it, I don't want to take any of that bull crap and wait that long,
Yeah.
like, or I don't want to spend that money, then you can learn what buttons to push, and you can learn what
Yeah.
gear you need, and you can learn like all that stuff.
I actually would go. I will say that from the self-taught perspective, and I'm not. I did go to college, but I dropped out, which I think is probably the story of a lot of people.
Yeah, I mean, it's not
perfectly
university's
fine,
not.
yeah.
for some
You will
people, and
still
that's
end
fine.
up having to learn those things.
Yeah,
I am learning so much right now on the back end. Exactly what you said, like trying to learn how, like, what am I trying to portray in these shots? Like, how do I do
Yeah.
it? Like, how do I get this atmosphere? Like, trying to understand lighting and that kind of thing. You will have to learn, and it will be the hard way.
and it will.
Well, and
it'll
it's-
only just make things better.
And the other thing that's about it, so like I think Jacob and I approached our projects in a very similar way.
Yeah.
A lot of people that I knew that when they're like, okay, here's like your packaging project and stuff like that, which obviously is the one that struck my interest the most. A lot of people would like, they didn't enforce it, but they'd be like, hey, does your client have a budget? And everybody in there is like, oh, they're gonna like, I have an unlimited budget. I'm like, well, that's no fun. Like, I have no parameters and everything. So I actually chose projects where like there was stuff that I noticed in the community. Like I made one that was for specifically the market, the farmers market. So like I came up how to brand it, how to organize it, and like other things, and even like went a little above and beyond and create like a business that could generate profit for it.
Yeah.
But anyway, I came in, I was like, all right, the purpose of design is to solve problems, solve created problems. And ultimately the purpose of most designers, like we want to boost our numbers, which is like, it's a design that has a purpose and it links a bunch of stuff together. Like that's how I usually like to, because it's a brand in the end, it's
Yeah.
not just pictures. But in the end, like you also are learning the proper way to do stuff. So that was probably something else that Jacob can attest to, that you're learning the standard at the time or the something, so that for me, like the end product is how do you give it away? You don't just give them a file with a bunch of random photos or like graphics in there. Like they have to be specific sizes, like DPIs and like specific colors and all that. And like, so you do learn the professional way to deliver the end product so that the client knows how to use them. Whereas I know a lot of people that they'll send me a JPEG and I'm like, no, you can't send
That's
that.
me.
I was like, and like, yeah, like you do, like you said, comes back, you have to learn the hard way.
Yeah. I feel like the common kind of denominator between everybody, you know, whether or not you went to school or you learned yourself, is you kind of get out what you put in.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
know?
can make any situation
true.
as good of a situation as you,
Like
as
you
can.
probably can tell like right away, like this person doesn't have the passion that I do. So
Yeah.
I've
we-
noticed that
on paper, we have the same education,
Yeah.
Yep.
but
you don't have the passion for it. I feel like there's a lot of kids out there who want to be streamers, vloggers, or whatever. You can make it,
Yeah.
yes, but do you have the heart and do you have the passion?
You're gonna have to
for
put
it?
in the work. I will tell you right now, out of everybody I know, there is no one who will put out more than Riley.
Well,
No, he will literally. He'll come to me like we'll be
Please don't.
talking. We'll be talking. We'll be sitting here in the office. Okay, he'll have been here literally from morning till like night, and been like, man, I only got like 3 videos done today.
I don't
He's
feel.
like, I feel so unproductive.
yeah.
I'm like, dude, I haven't gotten like a project done in like 4 days.
Yeah.
Now I do work on longer form stuff, but like you have to want it and go outside and probably above what you have to do
Yeah.
yeah,
to make it.
I texted Jacob last night.
but you have to have passion for it. You have to like it.
yeah, and
you know?
it doesn't matter like for anything. One thing I can say, you could level the playing field, and we could all get the best gear and best cameras in our hand, and you will still have a difference where somebody may have like, okay, I love going home and learning. I nerd out on YouTube videos all the time. That's how I'm constantly always pushing the envelope. So we would still end up in different like stratospheres and still have the same like equipment, and it's all about drive.
Yeah.
It's like back what I was saying to the to like the kids out there who like want to try to make it and stuff like that.
Riley, stop talking to kids.
Well, it's just really weird. Dang it, Prescott. Gosh. Yeah, you just have to have a drive. And some kids want it, and some kids act like they want it.
Yep.
They say that they want it, but they don't want to put in the long hours. They don't want to do. They don't want that. They just want one viral video.
Yeah. There's people
One and
that-
done. That's it.
There's people that I graduated with that's all they did, and like
It's like,
they
bro.
didn't make the film school worth it for them. Like I don't.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
You have to
so-
make it worth it for
There's
you.
Oh, continue.
Oh no, that was just it. Like
Oh.
you watch them like leave, and
Yeah, you're like,
well, it's also back to like
what?
the DM thing. Like people see me like shoot concerts, and that's all they see.
Yeah.
And they don't see
The hard work,
the
you're-
hundreds of DMs.
I've
and
been
me
in the
on
same
my
boat where
phone,
you've been
and
laying in bed at
people,
night
like
and-
laughing at me and being like, "Why are you? Why
Exactly, why are you DMing people?
Why are you doing this?" And you're like, "You don't get it.
You don't want
you
it.
don't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of people don't get it. Like you explain to them, but they won't get it at all.
Because you're probably like I can probably attest that everybody has the same feeling. Like when I'm just in the studio and I'm making it work and I'm building that lighting setup and I'm getting those like shots and you like
That's it.
you like look
Yeah.
at it and that it's a high that nobody will ever understand and it's just like
When
well,
you get like the shot,
yeah.
and you look at it and you're like, I
This is the one.
I cannot believe I shot that. Like,
Yeah.
It
It takes everything from
Or
me
like when you do a
sometimes.
good edit and you go back and rewatch the video, you're like, there is no way I just did this.
I've done edits before, and it's not super uncommon. I hope it's not super uncommon, but it's not uncommon for me. And I'll watch it back, and I'll literally get like so excited. I'll be like,
Oh, yeah.
jitter. I'll, like,
Oh,
have, like, a
yeah,
little
dude.
jitter. And it's literally I'll just swap like 2 clips, and it'll just make it like a billion times better. And it's
Oh,
just
yeah.
like
What-
that little bit of.
I get
like,
super
pride.
excited if I like get like an insane clip. I get up. I'm like, yeah,
Oh yeah.
or something like
You're
that.
Just watching it over and over again.
Yeah. You just keep watching. You're like, dude, this is so awesome.
So I think, like, to summarize, from kind of what I get from all of us is that you gotta love what you do.
Yeah.
And that will allow you to put in the extra work
Oh, yeah.
and to kind of go the extra mile is you don't always have to think of it as work. It's just like, this is what I want to do. But also, you've got to put in the extra to be able to make it.
Oh yeah.
There's always somebody that wants your job.
There's that's such
And there's always somebody that's working harder than you.
That's true. And also, there's a lot of like we were saying, there's so many roads.
Yeah.
There's so many ways to get there.
Yeah.
You just gotta utilize what your talents are and what your passion is, and you can find a way.
Yeah.
Even if that's like me, and it took me like 5 years.
Yeah. Also, no rush. Like,
Yeah.
No,
it's not a
you're
rush.
not in a rush.
Unless
If-
you're
if
like
you learn-
75, then maybe you need to
Maybe-
figure it out.
Yeah,
quicker.
kick it into high
If-
gear.
yeah, just kick it and just
Yeah.
keep going.
Your hustle
yeah,
may be
like-
extremely limited between nap time.
If
Yeah,
and
you're-
nap
you
time.
better get it figured out. Quick.
Listen, if you're like 17, 18 years old and you're listening to this, you're like, I want to do what these guys are doing, and don't want to like rush in. Like, don't rush into it. It's not a race.
If you try it for 1 month and it doesn't work out, that doesn't mean you've
Failed.
It's all
It's
down
not.
the toilet.
It's not a race.
yeah.
It's not a race. Do not get upset. Do not cry. Oh, I didn't get a client this month or whatever. It's not a race. It's a pace. You slowly do it. Because I've been there. Like my first month there, I've called Daniel. I was like, dude, I'm not where I want to be. I don't want to be successful. I want to be successful, but like I'm nowhere where I want to be. He's like, dude, it's okay.
Yeah.
Like it will take time, and so it's going to just take you time. If it takes you 5 years, 10 years, 11 years, whatever, 2 years.
And another thing that's like really kind of don't compare yourself to other people.
That's hard.
The one thing that I do is I go through and I like it's not really a comparing. It's like when I see someone get like a really good shot, I like look at it for a moment. I'm like, can I do this? And like after a while, after you've been around a camera long enough and you understand your lens and stuff like that, which also understand your lenses, kids. Understand the f-stops and what they're for. Like I have so many people I know that switch it to auto
He
when
said
they're
the f-stop.
yeah. He said the
He
name.
said the name of the podcast. Okay, go ahead.
But yeah. After a while, you're gonna learn what you can do and what you're like how to reach the parameters of what the parameters are to reach specific shots. And that's like probably like the only time I will allow myself to like dwell on other people's shots. I'm like, how did they get that? Can I get that shot? And after a while, chances are, yeah, it's quite easy. It's just sometimes it's there are a few pieces of gear that make it significantly easier. But in post with like a little bit of like editing, you can fake a lot of those shots too.
Yeah.
But no matter if it's like if you're shooting on your phone, there's a lot of barring, I guess, if you go past the 11, it becomes a little bit more difficult. But there's a lot of great apps that you can put on your current stuff that
Use what you got.
yeah, you can get some really nice bangers.
Learn with what you have.
Yeah. Even if it's a phone
Yeah,
Yeah.
or anything, make sure the story's there.
yeah. It's
You can learn the basics without having to have the best equipment. You don't have to have a Red to make videos.
Or
No.
Sony or Canon.
yeah. It's
You
I
can
mean
use your phone
yeah.
for a while. Don't try to like maybe don't try to like go to clients with your iPhone. But,
Yeah.
but you can start with your iPhone and learn. Sure.
Speaking of iPhone, you know Ryan Tran. You know Ryan. You know he filmed all that on his iPhone.
Well, if you're a YouTuber, like
I
wouldn't
was
you-
noticing
Why
it.
wouldn't you
I
shoot
was
it on your
like-
iPhone?
That's true.
It's
I
a
was
camera that
like-
you have in your pocket at all times.
I,
It shoots
yeah, no.
4K
I know some of
60.
his some of
Like,
his
why-
shots were
why would you
on his phone.
not-
Some of his shots were like his cameraman. So, but like, I noticed I was like, why is he not using
Well,
like a vlog camera
well, also
or
with
something?
YouTube, like if you get too professional, you lose relatability. So
Yeah.
at that point, it's like, why
Man,
not?
that's a good
Sure.
point. I never
but
thought about
he
that.
did a really good job on using what he had and telling the story with it.
I'm patiently waiting. I'll probably upgrade when the new iPhone comes out because I'm starting to see the limits of mine, and I'm tired of it shutting off randomly. But I feel like everybody gets that when they've had their phone for longer than 2 years. But I'm really curious to see where the next camera on on the iPhone at least goes, because the iPhone, like I'll admit it, is always a few steps behind the Droids, but they do. Like really, it's to a point where it's pretty solid all around, and it's innovative. Like they have a lot of different things that are pretty well tested. But I'm not gonna turn this into
An
iPhone.
this is
phone.
not an
iPhone versus
photography
Samsung.
podcast.
Oh,
But
gosh.
yeah, I am kind of curious to see where it's coming next and everything,
Right.
because it's when you have a phone in your pocket that can shoot 240 FPS. And my camera that costs more than the phone can't shoot that. It's kind of like, all right, I may need to use this sometimes. And it's actually, I know some people that do sub in the 4K clips from their phone because they do look crisp and they're not hard to edit or anything. They may not be flat, but they're definitely workable.
So, I think we're gonna end it out. Final comments. Somebody out there who wants to be in your position, wants to do what you're doing.
Just do it.
What do you have to say to them?
Eat your veggies. You gotta be like, you can't do any of this on an empty stomach. You can't.
Eat your veggies. I love it. Dude, you know that Ryan Trahan actually got that tattooed on his leg?
So did I.
For real?
Yeah, I got Ryan Trahan tattooed.
Just his face on your leg.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, he's with me everywhere I go. All right, thank you for liking, commenting, and subscribing. You know what time it is.
Yeah.
Check out the
absolutely.
socials. Check out everything. Yeah. See you next time.
Later.
So.